Welcome to the Power Of series, where today we dive into the power of Eddie Riggs, the master of roadies and sire of Demon and Man. Eddie faced a catastrophe when a stage show went south of heaven. Amidst the chaos, Eddie met his untimely demise. But the gods of metal had other plans. His blood, mingling with an ancient talisman, summoned the fiery deity Ormageddon. Catapulting Eddie into a realm of pure metal. As Eddie awoke in a mysterious temple, he found himself in a brutal world, a heavy metal paradise of chaos. This marked the beginning of Eddie's Jack Black-inspired isekai adventure. As he embarked on a journey through this new realm, he encountered the human resistance, becoming their general, leading humanity to glorious victory and freedom from their demon oppressors. In terms of powers and abilities, Eddie has superhuman strength and speed, just your standard flavour of superhuman strength and speed. Weapon mastery, Eddie can use the separator with expert precision without ever touching an axe.
You handle it very naturally.
Yeah, that's kind of strange, isn't it? But I've never touched an axe before.
Flight, this should be self-explanatory. He can fly, he's got wings, and he didn't even need Red Bull. Summoning, with multiple solos like the Call of the Wild, Blade Henge, Bring Down the House, Light of Dawn, and Summoning Deuce. Statistic amplification via Clementine's many different strings like Brawler, Destroyer, High Voltage, Pyromaniacs, and Super Shaker. The Brawler and Destroyer strings increase guitar attacks within melee combos. His High Voltage, Pyromaniacs, and Super Shaker strings increase his lightning, pyro, and shockwave damage. Separators, Razor's Edge, and Bloodlust treatments deliver additional melee damage and increase in damage the more Eddie kills opponents. Units like the Razor Girls and Head Splitter gain a boost in attack power by teaming up with Eddie, somehow. Statistic nullification via Light of Dawn solo. Enemies are blocked from being buffed by their allies, and if they had a buff, that buff gets removed. Invisibility. Eddie should be capable of turning invisible just like the roadies, as they can turn invisible and Eddie is also a roadie. Now moving on to this amalgamation of bullshit. So, I'm going to address this now so it becomes easier to explain. Eddie via the black tier treatment on his separator should hypothetically have all the powers of the black tiers do, and subsequently the black tier units, as the axe head oozes the black tiers. He would gain the units' powers because they gain their powers from the sea of black tiers. But if you don't want to attribute all these powers to him based off this one treatment, that is understandable, but this is what he would get hypothetically. So with that out of the way, the black tier treatment grants Eddie statistic reduction, as it reduces the damage done by affected enemies and slows them down. Duplication, as he should be capable of duplicating infinitely. What is it that he's duplicating? I don't know. Fucking axe heads, your guess is as good as mine. Creation, just like Drowned Ophelia, he should be capable of creation feats, just like how she can instantly make a moon.
That's better. I love this weather.
Possession and hand manipulation, just like the Fright Wigs. Weather manipulation, he should be capable of creating a thunderstorm like the Brides and Ophelia. Mind manipulation, just like Ratgut, who should be capable of mind controlling small animals like rats, like a brutal Pied Piper. Vapor and poison manipulation, Eddie should be capable of creating a black noxious ash fog. Void manipulation, as the black tiers made the Brood, a pram with an infinite sized void. Shadow manipulation, just like Drowned Ophelia, he should be capable of controlling his shadow. Soul and fear manipulation, just like the Reapers, as they should be capable of harming the soul and causing terror. Willpower manipulation, should be capable of the same powers as the Organist, who can sap the will to fight from anyone in earshot, as explained in the instruction manual. Dark matter manipulation, same as Ophelia, as she is stated to produce her guitar from dark matter. Cloth creation and manipulation, same as Ophelia, as she can do as such. Power nullification via cloth creation and manipulation, as they can stop one from using their guitars and speaking, which is how they use their powers. Meaning if you use a weapon, item, or head for a power, guess you just shit out of luck. Passive and regular statistic reduction, like the Brides and Organist. Madness manipulation. Black tears cause madness to those near or drink the tears.
Whomever drinks from this ancient sea of black tears is granted some of Etulia's power, but also cursed with her all-consuming grief. Most tear drinkers go mad and destroy themselves and everything around them in a murderous rage. Those who drank first, intoxicated with power, renamed their uprising the Black Tear Rebellion. But madness eventually turned human against human and tore the movement apart.
Healing, illusion creation, and water manipulation like Ophelia. Before we continue on, I only clumped all these black tier powers together so I don't have to mention them later on. It was just easier to get them out of the way and keep them in a simpler section. Eddie has lightning, fire, and explosion manipulation via Clementine's Separator and the Druitt Plow. Sound manipulation via Clementine's Earthshaker, as Eddie hits a massive power cord that blasts away and shakes the environment, as well as the Druitt Plow subwoofer, as the speakers can blast a sound wave, and with the mouth of metal, he can listen to the voices of the metal gods. Earth manipulation via Bladed Edge Solo summons the Blade of the Metal Gods and a Ring of Rock to entrap enemies. Light manipulation can use Light of the Metal Gods to direct people or himself to a set location.
Did you make that light appear from the heavens?
Light itself now bends to my will.
Oh, get over yourself.
Why don't you get over me? Oh, that's right. You can't fly.
What's over there?
Is there a leech over there? I can't see it.
I thought you wanted to attack a fan leech.
Edward, is there a very small leech over there that you want us to attack? Or an invisible leech?
While with the Light of Dawn Solo, he can summon the sun itself.
Hello, sunshine.
Heat manipulation via the Face Melter Solo, as it can melt the opponent's face. Emotion manipulation via Separator's Battle Cry Solo can raise the spirits of those around him, increasing their strength. Metal manipulation and creation via the Inaudible Burden. Love and death manipulation via Clementine's The Love Giver strings, as it shoots out hot, pure love in such a concentrated form it would kill almost anyone who receives it. I have no words. That was a sequence of words I never pictured I'd ever say. Physical damage absorption via soul sucking treatment, as it returns a portion of melee damage done to the wielder's health. Mid-low regeneration, Eddie is capable of healing wounds made by explosions and lightning. Lightning, fire, and explosion resistance. Other faction leaders like General Limelight, Drowned Ophelia, and Emperor Diviculus can use lightning, fire, and explosions. Blood resistance can fight Emperor Diviculus, who with his solo Curse can cause blood to explode while the tip choppers drain blood from enemies. Venom and poison resistance. Yes, venom and poison are different. One is black metal and the other is glam metal. But in all seriousness, venoms are injected while poisons are ingested.
And you would be wise to remember the difference.
Eddie is heavily resistant to demon venom, as when he was stabbed by the druids, whose blades have demon venom, which awoke his latent demonic powers, as well as tank the noxious poisonous ash caused by the dredgeable. Emotion resistance can tank hits from the pain lifters who fire a sharp, disease-ridden medical waste ball called the aptly named Agony Ball, which, when it explodes, rains years of accumulated suffering. Can also fight and tank hits from the Hate Cage, which are basically twisted lumps of pure, unfiltered hatred, and as such can spit liquid hate, and standing near the cage runs the risk of being covered in hate. Statistic nullification immunity via the Light of Dawn Solo. While active, Eddie is immune to negative effects. And via being able to survive being engulfed in the Black Tears, Eddie should resist or have immunities to these abilities I'm about to mention below, as the Drowning Doom's powers come from the Tears. Puppetry, fear manipulation, soul manipulation, shadow manipulation, statistic reduction, willpower manipulation, void manipulation, possession, hair manipulation, weapon manipulation, mind manipulation, vapor manipulation, dark matter manipulation, cloth creation and manipulation, power nullification, weather manipulation, madness manipulation, illusions, shadow manipulation, and water manipulation. Utilizing his Earthshaker, he not only shook but also brought down the Temple of Ormagodon. Stood at the top of a mountain of diversely sized skulls and bones. This sheer complexity of the skeletal landscape makes an exact calculation challenging, but a conservative estimate would place its scale between that of large building to city block. Eddie, wielding his lightning bolts, possesses the ability to reshape a mountainside. While you might question whether the Stone Devil Horns enhance his lightning for such a feat, it's vital to note that neither the game nor the Primer Guide indicates any amplifications during this process. Consequently, Eddie's vulgar display of power stands as a testament to a C+2 low mountain feat without any additional ornamentation. Eddie demonstrates his formidable strength by defeating Drowned Ophelia, whose encompassing gloom solo has the power to conjure a moon. A comparison reveals a notable disparity between the moons between the one she creates and the one presented at the game's outset. This distinction gets Eddie to moon level. Eddie's ability to engage in combat with General Limelight holds significance, especially considering that by the final battle at the Pleasure Palace, Eddie should have freed 69 bound serpents. Each collectively freed 10 serpents bestows Eddie with a portion of the Fire God Ormagodon's power.
The king used the Song of Aetulia to lure the fire beast Ormagodon to the ground, where the first ones trapped him and tried to douse his flaming body with mud. Rather than be extinguished, the mighty fire beast let out an earth-shattering scream and exploded like a sun. His fire flew up into the sky and became the sun.
By the point of the Pleasure Palace, he should have access to approximately 6 to 6.9% of Ormagodon's power. Given General Limelight's capacity to endure hits from Eddie and deliver blows in return, the cumulative power from the Bound Serpents elevates Eddie's power to Dwarf Star. Eddie accumulated 12 parts of Ormagodon's power throughout his journey, which incorporated aspects like his flesh, blood, scream, and fire.
They took every part of that old fire beast. They took his blood, his fire, his steel flesh. They even took his scream, and they made that car there, and a million other things, including music. Fucking beautiful music, man.
Assuming these parts represent 12% of his flesh, considering each bound serpent contains a small collection of these elements, Eddie's power range extends from 16.32 quintillions to 91.26 quintillions, positioning him at small star level. For Eddie himself via his own Light of Dawn solo, he invokes the sun itself, changing the immediate area to a sunrise. Now, we can look at this feat one of two ways. Either Eddie's Light of Dawn solo can be viewed as rotating the planet at an extraordinary speed, instantly transitioning it to morning. Alternatively, considering the term invoke, it could imply that Eddie moved the sun itself to create a sunrise effect. Both interpretations suggest an immensely powerful feat. I couldn't get a calculation for both of these feats, but we can assume star level of affecting the sun itself. Now, surely Eddie couldn't get any higher than star level, right? This next section will upgrade not only Eddie, but technically the entire verse. There is a unit from the Drowning Doom called the Brood. The Brood is a pram that is stated to have an infinite-sized void, and this is technically one of the weaker units in the Doom, and Eddie and other units consistently fight these guys in the overworld. So this brings Eddie and technically every other unit to universal on an infinite 3D level. If you believe this is inconsistent, all units in the Drowning Doom gain a small portion of power from Aetulia, whose tears are the catalyst for the Drowning Doom's powers. Now going over Eddie's speed, we'll be starting with travel speed. Eddie's travel speed on foot aligns with standard peak human capabilities. However, when utilizing the Druitt Plow, his hot rod speed becomes comparable if not faster than the twin 296-inch flathead powered steamliner, slightly slower than a Formula 1 car, placing him in the subsonic ranges of speed. But depending on how you want to take some of the things I'll address later, this car can get vastly faster. In flight, Eddie's speed surpasses that of the Druitt Plow, potentially reaching subsonic plus. The exact extent remains unknown. The variations in interpretations can influence his flying speed. Further details on the aspect will be addressed later on. Now moving on to Eddie's reaction speed. Eddie's capability to engage and strike opponents such as General Limelight, Ophelia, and Emperor Difficulus, all of whom can cause explosions and summon lightning from the sky, indicates his reaction and combat speed at that of massively Sonic. Jack Black, Eddie, on his quest to upset and prove he is better than Brian Posehn, the Hunter, can hunt down the Laser Panthers, creatures capable of firing lasers.
Don't tell me. That hat shoots lasers.
This record I know I can keep because laser panthers are pretty much impossible to kill.
Okay, how many times did you do the impossible?
5. Did I mention they shoot lasers?
I can beat that easy.
The fact that both the Hunter and the Zalia have also hunted these creatures establishes a consistent theme that characters within the verse possess lightspeed reaction. Eddie can also keep up with Ophelia, who can hop into the Brood's void. Voids by nature have no time, and as I hinted earlier for Eddie's travel speed, being able to fight Ophelia would give him both inaccessible reaction and travel, as he can keep up and fly at the same speed as her. This is consistent due to the fact that you can hit the Brood's dolls before they hit you, which come from the void, and all of the other units can fight the Brood. Now, we have hit the one proposal I warned about earlier. Depending on how generous you want to be, there is a potential immeasurable speed argument to be made, as demons being comprised of parts of the Fire God should be faster and stronger than the first ones, who do react to Ormagone's movements and ended up killing him.
The king used the Song of Etulia to lure the fire beast Ormagoden to the ground, where the first ones trapped him and tried to douse his flaming body with mud. Rather than be extinguished, the mighty fire beast let out an earth-shattering scream and exploded like a sun. From the oceans of blood came new life, the worst of which was the tainted coil. With the twisted forms of the first ones, but the angry power of Ormagoden, they were hated, feared, and almost exterminated.
Now, why does this matter? It matters because Eddie at the start of the game was sent to another timeline, universe, world, whatever you wish to call it, by Ormagoden.
I am but a visitor in your strange world, which some would call hellish, but I have to admit, it's kind of badass.
Hey man, where I'm from, this guitar makes noises. Here, it blows stuff up. So I can't wait to see what a full-on rock show does.
Who, from what we know, only had fire and sound powers while being renowned for his speed. There is no evidence to suggest he had any time, space, or portal creation abilities, as not even any machines created by the Titans have any time or space manipulation. The only time we see any time manipulation is during the 10-year ritual that sends Socoria into another universe.
They performed a 10-year ceremony of orgy and sacrifice that culminated with a gross perversion of time that sent their emperor and most bloodthirsty warrior forward to the age of modern man. Along with the emperor, they sent a small idol of Ormagoden, which would return the traveler if a blood offering were made into its mouth.
But what about the medallion? Shouldn't that have time manipulation properties, thus nullifying the feat? No. There is no mention the medallion was imbued with any of the power used on Socoria, plus even if it was, the medallion is more of a glorified signal fire, as it itself doesn't take one back to the original point of origin. Instead, it's Ormagoden himself who does. Thus, if we were to take this to its highest conclusion, Ormagoden could have jumped to another timeline with sheer raw speed. If this is the case, then this would result in anything being able to react to him having immeasurable speed, as he shouldn't be bound by linear time. And as I said earlier, if we were to buy this, Eddie gains speed from Ormagoden and fights demons all the time. On top of that, Druitt Plow is made of pieces of Ormagoden's body. In conclusion, Eddie can get to Star to Universal, while his speed is inaccessible to Immeasurable. Who would have thought a character and great game Lost to Time would produce a character this powerful? Is there even a word for a character such as Eddie?
Yeah, I'm a roadie. I keep the trash off the stage.